and then everybody's crying. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's been a long day. It's been a long, long day. Trying to figure out something to do. No plans, nothing going on. Just happy holidays to you and yours. I think I'm all out of rambling juice. I'm getting tired. But I thank you for listening. I appreciate you. May God bless you and keep you. Oh, that's what I forgot to talk about. So, my cousin was on Facebook today, and they were talking about Lil Wayne and Jay-Z. I don't know why they were talking about it. It just kind of came up out of nowhere about who's better in the verses. I thought maybe it was just a general topic or whatever. Come to find out, Jay-Z and Lil Wayne are going to do a versus, a battle against each other. That's crazy. That's so crazy to me. I thought they were just talking about it. I thought they had just, somebody brought it up and they were just having a discussion about it on Facebook. No, it's really about to happen. And, of course, they're going back and forth like, how could Wayne step into the arena with Hove? Nobody compares to Hove. It's like, it's true. Hove is that Dolo. Like, he is that dude that he's the Hove to me. If you break him down, he's a solo artist, but he's also an artist. If he fell into a group, he will emerge as the star of the group. Like, he's just that solo dude. Like, nothing about him ever breaks off and contributes into the group where he loses power. Like, he just doesn't lose it. So if you put Hove in a group, the group will suffer in the end because his power isn't going to come off and share with you and then he loses it. He just doesn't move that way. I think that's why he is who he is. I just don't think Hove just wasn't made to be in a group. But Lil Wayne, he started when he was, he wasn't even old enough to drive. He was in this group called the Hot Boys, and they had a song called That Block Is Hot. And let me tell you, that used to be one of my favorite songs by him. And this is the first time I ever heard voice collaborations like his, because it was Lil Wayne, BG, and Juvenile. And all three of them had these distinct accents and tones in their voices. When they rap together, it used to throw my ears through a loop because just the sound, anybody who knows Juvenile's voice, and then BG had his deep voice, and Lil Wayne kind of like, the shit used to be crazy to me. I used to be like, how are these three on a track with these distinct voices? Like, oh my God. It's crazy. It's like the animation and the paint of it was real surreal. I think Lil Wayne was just, to me, he could be in a group and like, I think he could be a group, but he's also a great solo artist. Like, he's both of those things. And I never question him in a group. Like, if I see him in the Hot Boys, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, he's going to stand out from BG or Juvie. It's just like, with them, all three of them together, the synergy was so real. Nobody lost anything. It was like, yo, the way it is, they fit perfect together. And now, then, he kind of stayed with Cash Money. Then he went on his own. He was still just as dope. But when you look at Hove, when you think of Hove is, which I guess when you look at the South, it's going to be more like a North versus South thing. When you coming from New York, you have that Big Apple swag. It's different than how, the Southern comes to rap. The way New York dictates rap, they'll pull it from right under your feet if you don't know how to hold on to it. It's just like Hove, the way he stands on top of rap, the way, people in his circle and where he came in from, you lose your Biggie. And Biggie was the only rapper like Hove. He was the only one that could, you give him a blunt, you let him listen to the beat a couple of times. He was just coming off the dome with it. Him, Big, and Jay was the only one that was doing that. And they're the only ones that came out in that mid-90 period with the style they had. And when Biggie died, it's like Hove just kind of fit right into that middle groove between the two of them. And he was just the big honcho out of Brooklyn. I mean, we love Busta Rhymes and everything, but the rhyme styles between them is different. This is different. Everything Hove talks about is from his street experiences. And he came and he funded his way into hip hop. So he wasn't even on that page of artists that old record labels. He owned his own record label. So you're looking at him from a business standpoint than a rap standpoint. So I think in that essence, when you put him in a group, he's still going to be the boss of the group. He's not really going to, owe anybody. I should have said that. I didn't even say that. I'm not saying nothing about Wayne, but Wayne came up and he got his dues and now he owns what he owns. You know what I mean? But the thing about Lil Wayne, he also freestyles his songs too. Take a few steps back, take a deep breath. This is gonna be a versus of creative versus creative and nothing else. It isn't gonna be about power. It's just gonna be if it's just a love for the craft, a love for creating wordplay over beats. I'm all into it. The technical side, they're trying to figure out who got the better car. I'm not even gonna look. I don't even care at this point. The style versus style, creative versus creative. I'm just glad they're really getting into it, because they're trying to say, who should Beyonce do a versus with, or I think it was Beyonce and Mariah Carey. I think if there's gonna be a versus, I think if you're going to look at longevity versus longevity, I think maybe you should look at Mary J versus Mariah. Because they both came out around the same time and they got crazy freaking hits. So you can look at it that way, like a Mariah versus a Mary J. But for Beyonce, I think for when Beyonce went solo, I think the best bet for her to go against is a Rihanna. Because they both singular wise, they came out at the same time. And they both kind of sway in the same hip-hop circle, which is around Jay, kind of. So it's like, I think those two would be really good with the versus battle. Jay, Lil Wayne, Mariah Carey with Mary J. Blige, and then Beyonce and Rihanna. I think that would be awesome. I think Eminem should do one too. But if you do one with Eminem, it's got to be, oh my God, ooh. Like Eminem's been out since what, 98, 99? Can't say with Bus. I mean, lyrical wise, they're powerhouses, they're juggernauts. But this is, I don't know, it's a different way. Like Eminem he's powerful, but physically there's a presence to him that Busta Rhymes is just in a different arena, and it's so much more ape and beast on one end, and it's not so ape and beast on the other end, even though it's like lightning in a bottle on one hand and then it's like real beast on the other. God, I could talk about this crap all day. They had a versus battle between KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane. I think that's cool because they represent the 80s rap. For Busta Rhymes, you're looking at leaders of the new school, early 90s, going into the solo career, then into Flip Mode Squad, and then back into the solo career. So I don't know who would be a good match with Busta Rhymes. I can't even think straight. I think, who I think would be a good versus battle? J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. I think them two would be a good versus battle. Bow Wow wouldn't get. Bow Wow and Soulja Boy, I don't think was a good match, because Bow Wow was a kid rapper. They should have had another child rapper go up against him. But then you try to think, what other child rapper was there? You're like, oh man, now you just lost words trying to find somebody else. Who else would I put up against each other? Okay, so we have J. Cole and Kendrick Lamar. Nicki Minaj. Nicki. Oh my God. See, you just killed everything on that one, because Nicki is in a time period where she killed everybody in like a 10-year time period. She was that decade rapper from start to finish. She had the whole package. She had the real and the fake lockdown, which is really rare for a hard hip-hop rapper. I don't know if they do verses now where it's a female could verse a dude. If a female could verse a dude, I will pit her against Drake any day. If they have a versus where it's a girl versus, and it doesn't have to be another girl, it could be a guy, I would put her against Drake. And then E.E.V versus Trina, I think that too was a different cloud too. I digress. If that one's happened already, but with Nicki, it's kind of hard. You can put her up against a dude. I definitely put her up against Drake. Like, I don't know. I don't know who I would put Drake up against. Drake is that sensual lady. You know, you want to listen to him while you grooving with your man type. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if Drake had came out 10 years, 15 years earlier, I would have definitely pit him up against LL Cool J. Nah, LL Cool J is that 80s rapper that rapped up into early 2000s. I gotta think about this and write it down on paper. I see Nicki against... Nope, I can't say Remy Ma because there was bad blood there. Even if they do apologize, the only rapper I would pit Remy Ma against that I saw would actually battle her in caliber was this rapper named Lady Luck, and I think she's underground now. But I know Lady Luck will handle her bars. She'll be trying to hand him bars over in the face to face. You know, there's something about Remy. She can be very intimidating to female rappers. Like, it seems like when she gets on stage, it's like it's more street, I think, than hip hop. And I think that street essence comes up, and a lot of female rappers outside the actual hip hop game, there isn't really much of a presence. They came in just for the hip hop sector, and they mingle with the streets because the streets hold hip hop together. But there's no presence in the street like they may have been hustlers in a past life or whatever they were doing before they came into hip hop. There's an identity crisis, I think, in hip hop. There's a huge identity crisis. There's a need for, because it's a pride game and it's a power grab, there's a essence where you got to be in power in something before you can challenge anyone in anything. Unless you're trying to ride the coattail or I just want to be in the game. Here's your respect. You know, don't step on my toes. I'm not going to step on your toes, and we'll keep it cordial. You know what I mean? That type of feel. But there's so many. If you look at how hip hop is fused together, because it's the way it's together is unlike any genre of music. There's no other genre that came up and is pieced together the way hip hop is. And to me, especially when not that I'm an artist, and part of my artistry is hip hop. I do rap somewhat, but I'm more of a writer before anything else. And the way I dictate my words can change from trying to rap the words to just speaking those words in a way that makes my voice sound like I'm singing almost, or I'm dictating. But there's avenues for hip hop that aren't being touched, and it comes more. You can't gimmick these things in. Hip hop is notorious for trashing people who gimmick things. They want something that has a root in the street, and then could rise to power in some way. And there's so many sects of street life, or just in life in general, that hip hop relates to, but there's no representation. Like if you look at, obese people. Not obese people, but oversized rappers. We had that in Big Pun, and we had that in Fat Joe. But Joe, got into the health kick and he slimmed down. And unfortunately, Pun passed away about 20 years ago from, weight issues. So there's always going to be you want to represent that, but then there's going to be, how do you handle the power? If you're not healthy enough to handle the power, then there's no representation for you. And then that's out the window. And then you look at, like, women. Street women. Like, celibacy, I don't think that has any place in the power not to rap. Rap is just sexualized. There's no way celibacy is going to it's going to make a point unless the rapper, whoever's representing it, has such a punch and has so much power. It can make so much of a presence that it intimidates itself into a position, and then it takes it for itself. That takes a lot of focus, a lot of manpower, and a lot of consistency with no gaps in the middle. You can't slip, every time you slip, you lose your